What's up, everybody? Coach Kev here. Good show today. Got a guest. Look very excited to have him on. Real quick, uh, basketball. Hopefully, everyone's watching basketball. I've been really swamped the last couple of days. Love the tournament. Uh, Purdue lost last night. A lot of Indiana people were probably pissed, but I was cheering for Fairleigh Dickinson because they have a player named Braden Reynolds. He was number 24. Big, strong kid, a lot of energy. He made 6 3-pointers against me in the playoffs a couple years ago, knocked me out of the playoffs. So, uh, very good basketball going on. A lot of good things happening. Rick Snay mentioned something about the Floor 911 tape. Possibly could get his hands on it. Looking forward to talking to him. Maybe being on a show at some point. I don't know if he'll be in here today or not, but love to come on and talk and just keep that out there. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that today. But as Ruckus does, I like to do is kind of let things flow. You got questions, whatever, we're just going to kind of talk. So I'm going to bring my man Ruck in here. But first, I'm going to bring him into a song. I told him I have a good song for him. I'm going to play this on my phone because I'm a technological goof. So hopefully you all guys can all hear it and you appreciate the song as we bring Ruckus in.
I fought the law and the law won.
There you go. We were talking before, a baseball player. If he was a baseball player and he would come out, that would be his song. I fought the law and the law won. So Ruckus is here. Everybody welcome him. Jamie, Jinx, Mother of Dragons, everyone else is in. Thanks for joining in. So what's up, man? How are you?
I'm great, man. Great. Every day I'm feeling better as far as my shoulder goes. Yeah, I can't complain. Modern medicine is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll say.
How great it is. How are you?
Good. I was thinking that weather down there's got to be good for recovery as opposed to up where I am where it's 38 degrees right now.
Yeah,
That warm weather help you?
It's Florida. It's like 82 overcast today. But it's a little breezy. But this time of the year it's great. Everybody from up north is jealous. Yeah, talk to me in August when I'm sweating my balls off. When I'm sweating, getting out of the shower, drying off, I'll be sweating.
Yeah, I know you feel I'm a champion sweater myself. So even though since celiacs, I lost about 50 pounds and I get cold all the time, but in the summer I still sweat. I mean buckets. So,
I see some familiar faces here. Jamie, Jinx, Mother Dragons. Nice to see you guys.
Jamie somewhere in Florida where it's 48 degrees.
Yeah, she's up in the Redneck Riviera, though. She's near the Panhandle.
So is that true? The further north you go in Florida, the further south it really is, as far as the way people act.
Yeah. All the real crackers, Florida crackers, live.
The crackers.
Yeah, I used to live up there, man.
I've been to Miami before. That was it. Or Orlando.
Miami's miserable. You got to learn Spanish to go down there.
Well, I tried to ask people about gluten-free food. We went there 2 years ago for the Orange Bowl to watch Michigan, and I ended up eating hunks of cheese because no one understood what I was saying. I ate hunks of cheese for 3 days because I didn't know it was gluten-free. I'm trying to explain to them, and they're like, no, you could eat that. And I'm like, I can't eat that. Sorry. Like, it's good for you. Wheat's good for you. Well, it ain't good for me.
Dude, what's happened to us as a human race? 50 years ago? Eat bread, butter, eat whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden everything's going to kill you.
Everything's bad. Yeah. Well, the celiac thing for me was wild because it just came on 2 years ago. I was in the hospital for 3 days. They knew what was wrong with me. I couldn't keep anything down. I lost, I think, 37 pounds in 1 week.
Jesus.
I took in no foods or fluids other than IV, and it's a blood test, and they came back, and they're like, well, if you don't eat wheat, you'll never get sick again. And I'm like, what? So I don't get headaches anymore. That's a good thing. I used to get sinus headaches all the time. But all in all, it's healthy. No good pizza. People tell you cauliflower pizza is good.
No.
It don't even taste like pizza. It's not even the same thing.
It doesn't even sound good.
It's terrible.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. But so what I wanted to do here is you all, probably everyone here, I'm guessing, probably subs to you if they don't sub to me already. But what I think is interesting when people talk to people is a little bit about their past. I knew right away you weren't from Florida initially when I heard you talk. I'm like, this dude got a further north accent than I do. But if you just want to talk, about yourself, you grew up, and then your time in law enforcement, stuff that you did, and I think that's interesting, and I think the people want to know that too.
Sure, sure. I was born in Charlestown, Mass. If any of you guys saw that movie, The Town, with Ben Affleck,
Great movie.
that's my neighborhood. I grew up in the projects. We were dirt poor. We didn't have shit. It was the Irish poor section. But I moved to Lynn, Mass. Graduated high school from Lynn Classical High School. We won the Super Bowl that year in '82, so it was a good year.
Yeah.
I went in the Air Force. I built bombs for a living. I was an ammo troop. I was stationed in England and then Maine and then Guam. I got out of the Air Force from Guam. I'd been married about 2 years. We had two kids. We had our kids right away. And it was a recession, when I got out. I was lucky to get a job with the Red Sox. And Guam is 78 degrees, breezy every day. I spent half a winter back home, and I'm like, bump this, I'm going south. So I got hired by and sponsored by the state of Florida, Department of Corrections. They were hiring, so I was buying. My first job in the state of Florida was with the DOC. I worked death row at the brand new facility at Union Correctional Institute right next door to Florida State Prison, where old Sparky was housed.
Any famous inmates you knew?
I was right between Bundy and Danny Rawlings.
Oh
I was
wow,
right in between those two.
Rollins was the Gainesville Ripper, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, piece of shit. He killed 5 students in August of '90. And he's kind of interesting too. Maybe we talk about him a little bit afterwards, just a real quick rundown. But it's kind of like the Idaho case. It's kind of the same kind of thing. He thought he lost his wallet um, at the crime scene, so he went back, and that's when he decapitated that girl. When he went back the second time. Yeah, it's crazy. And the last one, there was 2 people he killed. They opened the door to the apartment, seen her dead in the hallway, the female, and there was a black bag near her head. They shut the door, locked it, called the police. By the time the police got there, the bag was gone. So he was in there. Can you
Wow.
imagine?
Wow.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine? And another cool fact about that is the very first 2 girls that were found, the police officer that responded to that was on his way home, basically, and they asked him to swing by there for a welfare check and found those 2 girls. His wife was also a police officer. She worked the midnight shift, and she found the next one. How crazy is that? A husband and wife
Man.
involved with 2 different murders at 2 different crime scenes. It's crazy.
From the same person.
Yeah,
From the same
yeah,
murderer.
yeah,
Wow. Jeez.
yeah. He's something else, but he's gone now. We don't have to worry about him. But
Yeah.
while I was working there at death row, there was 5 executions. I never got to go to one. I asked, I signed up, but as you can imagine, everybody wants to go. Um, there was 3 inmates that got commuted from death sentence to life, which tells you they still did something wrong. They just somehow their case got screwed up and they couldn't give them the death penalty, so they put them out in the compound for the rest of their life. And there was one inmate that had life that was let go. He was actually let go to the street. And it's a funny little story. There was a show called Now. It was like 60 Minutes, and this is back in early 90s. I had got out of death row because it was boring, believe it or not. It sucks. They're locked down 24/7. So it was boring. I learned how to eat sunflower seeds on death row. Fill my mouth, crack them, and spit them out.
I got good at that coaching youth baseball.
Yeah. So I had a movement control gate. Union Correctional Institute was the worst compound in the state of Florida. It had all the hard felons. So it was cross fenced, and I had a movement control gate. And inside my controlled area was confinement. So this guy was on CM, close management, because they were working on getting him out, right? His family had money. They had found a body in a crushed car in a junkyard that he worked at, is what had happened. But somehow he got out of it. But anyways, it was lockdown, compound's quiet, and I see him walking up the road. There's big old oak trees down each side of this road with a film crew, right? I didn't even see them come in. Yeah, so And this fucker tries to just walk by me. And he knows better than that. I got to pat down every single person. So I was like, come here, fuck boy. Grab him up. I patted him down. Well, about 3 months later, I transferred to another prison, right? I want to get closer to home because that was about a little over an hour away. And it was an open bay dorm I was working in, like my second day there. So it's all glass in front of me. And up above that glass was the TV facing that way. So all the inmates are in the day room facing me. And all of a sudden I see them doing this. And they're like, knock, knock, knock. Holy shit, dude, you're on TV. So I went out there. Sure as shit, there's me patting this guy down. You could read my lips, calling him fuckboy. Wearing my Smokey the Bear hat, my my Ray-Bans, badass. That was funny. That was funny as hell, man.
Was there ever anyone on death row like that you felt really, what they were guilty probably, but felt that they actually felt bad or tried to seek some kind of redemption for themselves that you
No,
believed? No.
no. They don't really have a chance for any of that, Kev. They're locked down in their cell. They'll talk to each other once in a while, but they really didn't talk to each other much either.
Oh.
They're not. People don't understand this for the most part. People that are on death row are not there to be punished. They're there to be warehoused until we can kill them. Do you follow me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like each one of them has a color TV in their room, and I remember one day an inmate's TV was jacked up, so they went and took the big TV out of our break room, and put it in this fucker's cell until they could get his TV fixed. I was like, oh, this is bullshit, you know. But it's kind of scary, man. It's there's a catwalk. So you got the row of cells, right? And there's cement blocks and the front's bars, right? And then you have a walkway in front of those cells. It's probably 8 feet wide. And then there's bars all the way to the ceiling. But the center of the bars, it's got an opening like that big down the length of it. And it's about 8 feet to the wall, the outside wall. Well, you cannot walk inside the cell block area without somebody with a shotgun on the catwalk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So to us, we got complacent as hell, dude. I mean, we didn't care. You know, we, there's no way these guys are going to fuck with us. We're.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they'd kill us just as sure as we're standing there. But
Well, I would think
it's
that I would always think that if they had a death sentence already, that they have nothing to lose. So if there's an opportunity, why not take it in their minds? Because I'm going to die anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, I've had more than one inmate tell me that, hey, I like you, man, but if we ever get outside the gate, if you're escorting me or something, I'll kill you. These guys that had life sentences.
I appreciate the honesty to a certain extent. I mean, sometimes criminals are honest. Real fast, this is the end of last fall. It was nice out. This lady is 4 p.m. She's drunker than a skunk. She hits her Jeep like a darn pinball going up the ramp. She must have hit 10 times. And a cop's like, do you have anything to drink? She said, officer, I had a whole lot to drink. And the officer looked at her and says, well, ma'am, I really appreciate your honesty, as they were putting her on a gurney and taking her to the hospital. But not too often does that happen.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And as you can probably imagine, the prisons are filled with innocent people. Wow. None of them did it. Very few like, yeah, fuck it, I did it.
I would have a respect for a person like that was like, hey, listen, man, I was on this shit and I did do this and I'm just biding my time. I would think, I'd have a little bit of respect for someone like, I didn't do that. Like, we all know you did it. Even the other inmates know you did it. Like, quit lying. Like, sure. At some point, but I don't know.
Now, in Florida, if you're in county jail, everybody knows what you're in there for, right? But once you get to state, your file goes to the classification department. And if I wanted to look up an inmate's file, I better have a pretty good goddamn reason to look it up. I couldn't just go in and say, hey, what did this guy do? Because they wanted us treating them all equally.
So it's almost like a personnel folder at work then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I never knew that.
Exactly. Okay. And they classify the inmates. Like, you don't want to put Bloods and Crips in the same dorm and shit like that. It's a whole different society, man. Yeah. And once you get used to it, once you learn, I wasn't afraid, not once, because I learned real quick that I was a minor inconvenience to those convicts. At any given time, I'm in a building with 150 of them, and it's just me. Okay, duh. If they want to take the place, they could, and they could do what
Yeah.
they want with me. What stops them is the National Guard coming in with the real bang bang guns if they do any
Yeah.
shit like that. But
Yeah.
but they're more worried about each other than they are about the officers. So
Oh.
I never busted anybody's balls. I didn't see a point in it. Um, so I got along decent with them. They didn't fuck with me. I didn't fuck with them. They did what they were told, and it was fine. Most of them have succumbed to their what their rest of their life is going to be like.
Did working on death row ever bring you down? Like the Leonard Skinner song, like that smell, like these dudes are
No,
gonna die.
no,
So you're able to compartmentalize that, like that's their shit, and I'm over here doing a job. It's my job.
right. And if it was up to me, to be quite honest with you, I would have ran a freaking wire down all the cells and just zap them all at once. Either that or cut them loose, Kev. It
Yeah.
costs $32,000 a year. This is back in early '90s to keep an inmate on death row. The
Wow.
average stay in Florida is 12 years. Do you know that back then you could send a kid to Harvard for $32,000 a year? So
Wow.
either put these guys on the compound or kill them all, and there was 468 inmates on death row at that point, and give 500 kids scholarships with that money. You
Wow.
know, and it's appalling. It's appalling. And we're there to babysit them, and basically we were their butlers.
Yeah.
Anything they wanted. But I've dealt with some serial killers personally, both in county and in the state prison system. Um, they're they're nobodies. They're sissies. They really are, and I'm not kidding you. Um, if you have any kind of security, I don't care if it's a Ring doorbell and a way to defend yourself, you should be fine. Because these assholes work by undercover at night while you're sleeping and sneak up on you. They don't want to shoot you from afar. The DC snipers were very rare, you know.
Mhm.
So if you got a dog, a Ring doorbell, something to wake you up, you got the advantage over these bastards because they're pussies. They want
Yeah.
to get you stabbed while you're sleeping and
Yeah.
then take control of
Absolutely.
the situation.
What I hear a lot of profilers say is some of the best serial killers themselves are profilers, whether they know it or not. They're able to pick weak people, maybe that live alone. So, like you said, they're not running through the door of some big guy's house or where there's a lot of people. They're picking somebody weak, probably alone. A lot of times a woman, and then that's how they're doing their thing. And almost anytime they're confronted, they shit themselves. From what
Mm,
I've seen, like even crazy like Ramirez and a Golden State Killer, like when they're confronted, they shit themselves. They're like,
oh
"Oh,
yeah,
what do I do?" You know what I mean?
yeah.
Ramirez shot that guy in the head, and he got up and chased him. They said Ramirez ran his 100 miles an hour out of the house. Maybe I would too if I shot a guy in the head and he started chasing me.
Dude, Oscar Ray Bolin wrote a case against me. I couldn't even get near that guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was a serial killer, and he's a pussy. He's a pussy. But he had to deal with me anytime he went to court. He came down through booking, and that's where I was working. So he had to deal with me, and I'd be calling him all kinds of fuck boys and go ahead, just flinch, Oscar. That's all I'm asking you, dude. Just give me a reason to bash your fucking face off the goddamn cement wall, you piece of shit. Because he was killing young women,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, I didn't have any time for those kind of people. You learn to get cold to it, because honestly, I am really a nice, caring person. I am. I'm a genuinely empathetic person. But when it comes to when you see so many pieces of shit, I can spot them a mile away now.
Yeah.
It's just they're pieces of shit, and they just need to have their face bashed in the cement. When you see crime scene photos and you see what they actually did to these people, and this person standing right next to you, and you think, if I was her dad,
Oh, yeah, for
what would
sure.
I want
Yeah.
this officer to do to this guy?
Yeah.
But I couldn't just bang him up. I had to have a reason.
Well,
Everything's on camera.
that's the difference, though, in the end of it between you and them. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
yeah, these people are pieces of shit and they're 100% guilty. They've been convicted, they've been appealed, but you're following civilized society, because everyone would like to just go in there, with a Louisville Slugger, and just everyone take a couple whacks. When he's done, we'll recycle them in the garden or whatever. But so the people like you that do that job's got to be. I mean, you talk about how hard a police job is, but the correctional officer today, I can't imagine. It's got to be a lawsuit every day someone's filing for probably some bullshit. But
dude, back then it was a wild, wild west, though. I mean, we had a lot of blind spots.
I know what that means.
Where there were no cameras or anything, and every time I call my buddies, we talk for hours about shit that we've done with these assholes, especially the ones that come in from state that think they're badasses. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to the county. I'll go tell them what to do." No, they leave out of there with so many knots on their head. When the nose ran, they wouldn't know which one to wipe. I mean, we just knot them up real quick.
I'm trying to catch questions that I can. Indy Pam has one. Hi, Pam.
Yes, Pam. I'm retired from state of Florida, Pasco County, to be exact. If you guys want to look up Pasco County, there's a bunch of cases that are still unsolved. Pasco County's jacked up, and it's rural. Pasco County is rural. It's about 45 minutes north of Tampa.
Okay, I wasn't sure exactly where that was. I got you now. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the Gulf Coast. It's right on the water. But it's man, it's crazy how much shit has happened in that area, and I forgot about most of it.
Yeah.
Just today, I was like, let me look up a few of these things so that I can have something to talk about with Kev about, my stomping grounds, because most of it's mundane. Law enforcement work is nothing. Wide ass open. You know how it is.
Similar to the fire department. Yeah. You go from 0 to 60 in 1 second.
Yeah. And all hell breaks loose, and you can get hurt in that 1 second. You can get hurt bad. But there's been a lot of, children hurt in this county, in Pasco County. I'm a little north of Pasco now. I'm a couple counties north of it. I'm right next to Grady Judd's county. You've seen him, right?
Sheriff.
Yeah.
Sheriff? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. He had a press conference. There was this guy that shot one of his deputies and their canine dog. The canine dog died. The deputy almost died. But this guy ran into the woods and hid in a palmetto bush. And they had him trapped, and they had the lights on him, and they were like, "Put your hands up." As soon as he put his hands up, they opened fire. So, of course, the press, the next day at the press conference, they asked him that, well, why did they shoot him 63 times? And he looked this person right in the face and said, because we ran out of bullets.
I was going to say that, because we had 63 bullets.
He's hilarious, man. I love that guy. This is a good sheriff in Pasco, too. Naco. He's a good guy. My son really likes him. So,
is Florida? Let me ask you this, because I know Pennsylvania is a lot different with the way things are policed, but I know we're talking about a lot of Indiana cases. Is Florida comparable to Indiana the way law enforcement, like a local level police, a county, like are the counties really big there, or is there big departments, or like explain that a little bit for everyone here if you could, and if there's parallels to Indiana with what you worked in Florida?
Yeah. It's different everywhere. I remember as a kid, for instance, my uncle Charlie, he was a Boston police officer forever, right? And he worked the bad parts of Boston, the combat zone and stuff like that. But towards the end of his career, he moved to a small PD out in Stoughton, Mass, way out in the suburbs. He was there for like a month, and he got shot in a bank robbery.
Oh, no.
So he made it like 19, 20 years through Boston, and then, but he lived. I mean, he was fine, but still, we used to tease him about that. He should have stayed in Boston when he was safe, But down here, they have, it's not really municipalities. It's if you're inside the town limit proper, right? Then they'll have a PD most of the time. They'll have their own police department, and then the sheriff's office would cover everything else, the unincorporated areas. But anymore, the PDs are closing up, and the sheriff's office is just taking over in Florida. Now, the sheriff's office also controls the jail. So they would have transport deputies that were armed, that their only job was to go pick up inmates that were arrested, say, out in Dade City. an hour away. Go pick up that inmate and bring him to the jail. You know, um, so that's any more in Florida. That's what it's getting to. It's going to be all county. But Pasco just recently turned the jail over to civilians because they just had enough. You know that video the other day that shows the prosecutor in Indiana asking for money?
Yeah.
Well, that's why the sheriff gave the jail to the people, to the county, because he got sick of it. He
Yeah.
got sick of it, and that was a good resource for him because if he needed money for the road, he could rob it out of the jail budget and pay it back later. You know, now he can't do that, but he was just like, "Fuck that! I don't want anything to do with it." You know.
Did the local police departments do like investigating into major crimes, or did the county come in? Because like where I'm from, I live in a city of about 20, 25,000. We have a smaller department and they have, X amount of guys that patrol, but any real crime or anything that causes an investigation, the Allegheny County police come in and do the investigate. Is that similar in Florida with these smaller departments?
Yeah, but it's a collaborative effort. These small departments always have at least one or two detectives,
Okay.
that'll work with it. But I mean, shit, dude. Newport Richie's a very small town. They have their own police force. But man, there's a shitload that happens in
Yeah.
Newport Richie. It's the meth capital of the world, man.
Oh, meth.
Yeah, and so it's hard. It's hard to keep up with it. So basically it's like you don't hear firefighters if you get called out to a 4 alarm and you're going to a different district than what you're supposed to be working in. You don't complain about it, you go. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the same thing with law enforcement. If they need help, they'll call and we go, period. That's how it works. But Indiana to me is jacked up. I mean, I don't understand.
Can you even decipher how that works? I was going to ask you to try to decipher that for us because there's so many. Like you look at the press conference and there's like 10 cops from 10 different agencies. And like, well, who does what and who's actually in charge? So that's kind of a mystery to you too.
Well, if they have a task force like that, it's a big deal. That's a big deal. And they don't put together a task force and then unless they're looking for the long haul. Usually that involves drugs or trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, something that they know they're going to be doing for years and years and years. So as soon as I seen that there was a task force, I was like, oh yeah, they don't know what, they have no idea that this is going to take a while, you know.
But the task force is a good thing. That's a good thing for the investigation. The task force, you think?
It is to pool resources, but just
Okay.
the fact that they put together a task force tells you that they really didn't have anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, and to be quite honest with you, the Delphi police were glad that it happened outside their jurisdiction. They didn't have to get involved with it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fort Pitbull's Moon Lake. Actually, Al Capone used to have a summer cabin on Moon Lake, and Moon Lake used to be a bad area, but it's building up so quickly around there. They built a big, huge subdivision of expensive homes called Trinity. So now everybody calls Moon Lake Trinity North to make it sound better, because Moon Lake has a stigma to it.
Just checking out everyone's comments. Yeah. Anything else you want to add? Anyone want to ask me or Ruckus anything? Go on. And then so we got to you're working in the jails. So how did you kind of transition from that? Can you explain? Is that all like you said? It's all county run. So you put in like a request to transfer or something like that. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's how that works. Now, when I was working for the state, okay, my kids were little, and my wife didn't have to work. So since I was an hour away, I used to ride to work with a buddy, and we worked different hours. The shifts are really jacked up over there at death row and the compound. He worked on the compound, I was on death row. So, anyways, I had like 2.5, 3 hours to kill at the end of my shift. So I was taking crossover courses and college courses, in sex crime investigation,
Oh,
forensics,
okay.
yeah, interrogation, nonverbal communication. I even took lip reading, sign language, all that shit. Anything that had to do with investigation, I took it. Um, so I had everything, I actually, if I pulled it all together, and you guys can see all this on my, I did a video on my channel called Let Me Introduce Myself, where I went through all this. So I don't have to bore everybody with it over and over and over.
Oh, I
But
think it's interesting. I think a lot of people do. I do. I think it's interesting.
yeah, But I did a pretty lengthy video on it, so I don't have to keep hashing over and over it again. But it's if you're staying inside the county, it's not too hard. If you want to go now, once you get on the road, there's three counties there. There's Pasco County, Hillsborough County, and Pinellas County, and they're all vying. They have a shortage, so Hillsborough County will get a big raise, and all of a sudden, a bunch of Pasco County and Pinellas County deputies transfer over there. Well, then Pinellas County will get a raise to go above them, and then it just happens. And then Pasco, so it's a vicious circle.
And when you say you're on the road, that means you got your police clearance and you're in a car patrolling, right? When you say you're on the road.
Yeah, on the road is your patrol deputy. Yeah. But I like booking, man. I spent the majority of my career in booking. It's they have pay parity in Pasco County, which means if you and I got hired on the same day and you went to the road and I went to the jail, we get paid the same throughout our whole career.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but by working in booking, I didn't have to worry about people shooting at me, hitting me with frying pans because I'm taking their man to jail when they called 911.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and getting hurt and all that. So, Ruckus, do you think that Eric Williams has diluted his story? No, I don't, Jinx. He's very forthcoming to me, and I've talked to him a hell of a lot more than just those two interviews. Him and I have spoken a lot. He's very honest, and he'll tell you if I misspoke, if I said something, and now it sounds like I'm changing my story. I'm really not. He said I'm human. I make mistakes. But no, I don't think he's being deceptive or diluting things at all. I would bet money he's not involved in any way, shape, form, or manner at all. Some people have accused him of being involved, and he definitely didn't see any satanic ritual grounds or anything like that. Him and I talked about that exclusively for over an hour one day. It was just some bones. It was the Webbers, to be quite honest with you. It was on the Weber property. It was the Webbers.
I agree with Mark. Mark actually is a Purdue fan, as you mentioned. Sorry, Mark. That's a tough loss to take. You can shoot your shots because Michigan didn't even make the tournament. But I agree with Mark on the interviews, and I told Ruckus this. Two of the guys that I really liked doing interviews. One was Howard Stern. I thought he would just get to it. Joe Rogan is another guy that kind of just gets to it. And both of them do like a background. So when I said, hey, I want to get Ruckus to talk about his, this is me pulling this out of him. This isn't him tooting his own horn, but I'll toot it for him. Toot, as Aaron Anderson would say. So I want to hear this. I think this is all interesting, and I hope that you guys do as well. Yeah.
It's easy to interview these guys. Alex Voorhees, he's a friend of mine.
Alex is tremendously interesting to me. Tremendously interesting.
And you guys have no idea how many cases that he has put tips in on that not only legit, I mean, they're working some of these hard and tying things together because of Alex. And he doesn't have a law enforcement background. He's just super smart, you know, and he's got his shit together, man. I told him he needs to start his own channel. He's very interesting all the way around to start with, but he knows his shit. And when he puts a tip in, law enforcement, they're starting to know who he is, not just locally. He lives in California.
Oh, I didn't even know where he lived. I actually thought he was always like from Indiana or something because he was always like in the middle of it. Yeah. I didn't know he was from out there. Cool.
And dude, you just know that because this is like the Delphi circuit, basically.
Yeah.
There's true crime all over YouTube. You'd be amazed how many channels they are and how great they are.
Yeah.
But he's involved with a lot of things, man. That cat's on it. He's on it. I told him I'm going to call him Butter because he's on a roll.
Yeah. Jinx, I agree. I like Al. He's super interesting. And anytime he's on anybody's show, I'm into it. And he's like you and like me, as far as I'll talk to anyone or go on with anybody. This guy did this in the past. Well, okay. Well, I can only judge people how they treat me or what I think. So, if a creator says, hey, don't talk to this guy or that guy, like, well, I'm going to be friends with you and them because if they have information, why wouldn't I, try to get it out of him? But I think Alex is like that. You're like that. And I try to be like that. Like, I'll talk to anybody. If you're not friends with this one and that one, but I'm friends with both of you, like, don't put me in the middle of it. Let's get some shit done and figure it out. And Alex doesn't want money. He talked about the reward was interesting. He's like, I'd like some credit for it though. Like, let them know it was me. And that's awesome. Keep your money, but I want them to know it was me that did it. I like that. I like that.
I like that too. I really like that. And that's why I don't have a problem talking about Alex. Now, I have my own Discord server, and I gave him his own tab in there because he's so interesting that people would be coming into my Discord because they know that I know Alex and asking me about him. And I was like, fuck this. I'll give him his own tab in there, and they can just talk to him directly. And he's very active in there.
It seems like he is. He's real active, and even when he's on people's shows, he'll like read the comments and he'll respond. And I really like that about him. He's really, I've asked him a couple questions. We're off the wall. One was about the Cinderella theory that I was tracking down, and he kind of laughed. He's like, "Oh, I heard of that, but I don't think it's true." But I was kind of flattered that he at least heard of it. Even though it's bullshit, he at least heard of a theory that I had. So I thought that was cool. But
dude, anything that I mentioned, he's heard of it.
Yeah.
And he's not bullshitting because he'll rattle off a couple of facts about it right away.
He got a large noodle in that head, and it's doing a lot of good for a lot of people. So I definitely enjoy that. How about Coy Cox? Coy Cox should have been a middle linebacker with a name like that out of like the University of Texas, Austin or something. But I found him to be very interesting, and I found him to be very genuine. Of course, he can't say everything, but talk a little bit what you can say about your relationship with Detective Coy Cox from the Stevenson murders. And you can bring all that in because you know that a lot better than I do.
Yeah, he's working a bunch of cases, actually. It's difficult. I enjoy interviewing law enforcement because I understand. I know the drill. But it's hard because I know people in chat, they're like, come on, Ruckus, ask him the hard questions. What are you doing?
You're not Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men. You don't do that. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I know what his answer is going to be. You know better than that. I can't answer that, Ruckus, So him and I talk privately on the phone about, some things that, I can't repeat, but it's nothing breakthrough or anything like that. But he's on it. He's on it. Like Blue Bonnet, man. That guy, he knows his shit. And for him to take time out of his day to come and talk with me, I thought was outstanding. Yeah. And especially the day before, I think he went on Murder Sheets. And he was with them for about 2 minutes and he dipped. He was with me for a half hour.
Yeah, that was a good interview. Yeah. Yeah. And I see there's a lot of people that like him. I'll put up Indy Pam again. And again, I'm not a girl, but my girlfriend's like, well, that guy's really good looking. He's an older guy. We're in our 40s. I don't even know how old he is. He's good looking. He has a beautiful head of hair. Coy Cox, doesn't he? Jealous? I am.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm jealous of anybody with a head of hair.
Anybody. I'd grow the biggest mullet you've ever seen if I could grow hair. I'm talking Kenny Powers ×3 if I could.
But, let's not go crazy. I'm not.
Oh, no. I would go down Jacksonville, Florida, and I'd be like their king. They'd anoint me right away. Like, this guy got the best mullet ever. Look at him here. Put this crown on his head. Yeah. Now I get to go throw an alligator through a drive-through or something. I love the Florida stories that I hear.
Dude, and they're all true. Sadly, you my God, it's crazy.
You see my town in McKeesport, PA. I put stuff all the time, and it's wild, man. We've had 2 weeks ago, we had 4 shootings, 3 homicides in I think 4 days. So, you just keep grinding, doing what you can do, I guess. But
well, you live in like an inner city area, don't you?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. Well, we live there. I've lived here. I grew up here, so I've lived here all my life. We still have residency in our contract where we have to live in town, to work for the city. Up here, that we're different from the South. I think the South got residency like years ago. You could live where you want. City of Pittsburgh just got it for their fire and police, and we're probably going to have it at some point. We're going to have some form of it too. However, lifers like me that lived here, I live in an area that's quiet, but a couple blocks away there, there's gunshots every night. I was sending you some of the shot spotter notifications. We get them on our phone. They let the firemen know, hey, shots were fired here. And it's the over under is 2.5 on the weekend because we get usually 2 or 3. So we set the betting at 2.5, and you bet coffee or whatever you want to bet, and then go on from there.
I wouldn't even take that bet.
Ah,
That's
I
a
don't. Yeah,
50-50, isn't it?
it's
At
well, yeah, it's a
2.5.
coin. It's a coin flip. Yeah, it's a coin flip. Yeah. Odessa got my Kenny Powers joke. If anybody ever saw Eastbound and Down, HBO TV show. Hey, while we're on that, what do you watch? What do you watch on TV? You watch? Is there anything that you watch outside of YouTube or true crime?
The only
Sports?
thing that I watch on TV is sports, right? And not all sports. I know you're a basketball fan, but I played basketball. I wouldn't mind playing it, but I'd rather watch golf than basketball, to be honest with you. I like golf. But every night, every single night, my wife and I used to watch Forensic Files. Have you ever seen that show?
Yeah, I've seen it before. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy, the narrator, his name's Peter Thomas.
Great voice.
He's got the best voice, dude. And he could be saying the most horrific shit. And yes, and her neck was sliced to the point where her head was almost falling off. But yet we're
Yeah.
going to sleep listening to this guy's soothing voice. But now, I've seen them all so many times that I've switched to Big Bang Theory. So that's what I watch
Oh,
every night
okay.
when I go to bed. I watch
Big
Big Bang
Bang
Theory.
Theory.
Yeah, I don't
Cool.
like watching any crime things or anything like that because I just sit there and critique it.
Yeah.
Drive
And
my
then
wife nuts. That's bullshit.
you
Look at that. That's bullshit.
yeah, and then you wonder too, like certain things are always being reported. Like like I know that that's bullshit, but I know that's the narrative on this. So this killer from whatever day, and I get the same way too. But yeah, so we know that you're a rocker.
Hmm.
So if you were getting your car right now, I don't know if you do YouTube or however you play music, but what are some groups that you might hear on your that you're if you got an hour drive to make, what are you going to listen to?
Tool.
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 Oh,
Yeah,
cool. I was
absolutely.
thinking you were going to go maybe like older, like Southern rock, or maybe,
Oh, no.
you know, like
No.
Boston.
Well, Boston's not Southern rock. Yeah, I
Well,
like
yeah, but
Boston.
I'm thinking like at that time.
I
Yeah.
like all those bands from up there. The Cars, Aerosmith,
Yeah.
all,
Aerosmith's awesome. Yeah. I
you know,
forgot they were from Boston.
yeah, all of them till
Cool.
Tuesday. But when I was growing up, everybody was listening to like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and all that, and I was listening to Elvis Costello and the Attractions,
Oh,
shit like that. Um, yeah, I've always been the go against the grain guy when it comes to music. But when you get in a band to play out, you don't play what you want. You play what people want. You play
yeah.
what they want to hear. So we do all the top 40 stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s type thing. But it's, I surprised myself, and the guys in the band even say it. They're like, dude, how do you remember all these lyrics? I was like, I don't know, dude. Half the time, I don't know why I walked in the fucking kitchen. But yet
Yeah.
I can remember lyrics from a song from
Yep.
1970.
I'm similar to that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's crazy. But
uh,
hey, I saw something today I just want to touch on real quick.
sure.
With these Freedom of Information Acts, right? Um, with all of these, yeah, Pitbulls, I got moves like Jaeger. But with all these people, and specifically on YouTube, that are exploiting people dying, making money, stuff like that, profiting. These families are getting together and trying to stop people from receiving information on Freedom of Information Act. So, if you don't have a reason, the families can stop you from getting it. If they find out that you're going after it. So I'm going to make it a point now from here on in. Anytime I get a FOIA request that I want to put in, I'm going to reach out to the victim's family first and not let them know. Ask them if it's okay. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want anything like that. And you never know who you're hurting. You know, these people have
Yeah.
been through enough. So.
Yeah, I know for us, like we take it personally, especially being former first responders. Not that we have a market on, emotions or anything like that, but you got to realize at the end of the day, somebody's daughter or son's never coming back. And they have
Uh-huh.
to live with that every minute of every day. I could go watch the NCAA tournament for a couple hours and get away from true crime or whatever. but they can't. So that's a great thing. Was that like a court case that came out? I haven't heard about that yet.
They're trying to get that now. And Mother of Dragon is saying they can't stop it because it's a federal law. And I think that she's right as of now.
So they're trying to actually amend the federal law then.
I'm not
change a
sure.
little bit.
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
just seen the thing today on it, but I'm going to. That's going to be a standard practice for me because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want any. I'd rather the family go and look at my channel and see what I'm about, and then decide if they want me to have this information or not.
Well, that's a good point.
But there's enough to talk about, dude. We haven't really talked about any true crime here, and we're running off at the mouth for 45 minutes now.
I got a PhD in talk, and I tell people I'm a wordsmith. I just applied. Cross your fingers. I just applied for another basketball job at a place near here. I should hear in a couple of weeks. But head coaching job. It's a 4A school. It's a bigger school, and one of my assets I put I was a wordsmith. Right. So hopefully that comes up at the interview. Like, can you explain that to me? As a matter of fact, I can, and I'll go into some spiel about it. But what we got here, a couple more questions, but we'll start getting into. Oh yeah. So I think right here is a good time as Mark brings up Florida. We had the really good live that me and you did on Florida. We're actually and I told the guys this at work. I'm like, I watched that video 50 times and I saw what I believe was one rescue. Was certainly one rescue, and I thought it was some person, and it wasn't. And as we're watching that video, we're like seeing that almost live, and that happened. And I'm like, man, could you believe it? I'm looking at this, and a goddamn cop saw what I didn't see. I'm a fireman. How did I see it? Well, I had tunnel vision. I was only watching the fire development. But like we told people, you just watch the front door. Watch the front door, and you're going to see what we saw. And it's heartbreaking. But I hope that we got people a different impression of that, because there was people weren't sure what this one and that one was doing. And I'm not saying the firemen did great or terrible or nothing like that. But I hope that we were able to show, maybe explain a couple things, way the fire traveled and things like that. But just in all, whatever thoughts you have, is Frank Meister's in here. What's up, Frank?
What's up, Frank?
Whatever you have, just general thoughts on the floor. I know you like to shoot off the hip, so you're free to go.
Yeah. I'm not convinced that it's an arson. I'm not convinced that it's not an arson. This state of Indiana really pisses me off, dude. The way they conduct themselves and the way they hide shit, and it's all smoke and mirrors. Enough already. Release the 911 tape. Release the fire report. The transcripts of what the fires were saying to each other on their handheld devices, and let's just be done with this. Was there accelerants or was there not? First you heard there is, and then there wasn't, and then it's in several spots. Some people are actually saying they can see firefighters throwing accelerants into the house. I personally don't see that.
No, that didn't happen. That just didn't happen. I mean, I understand that people, and I tried to explain that the fire growth was from the worst accelerant that you can throw into a fire, and that's oxygen or air. Atmospheric air. So I could show you exactly when that window's punched, 2.5 seconds, off gases to the steps, and then you have rollover and basically a flashover in a couple minutes. But I understand why people, they don't get anything. So they're looking at this video and they're taking it apart like it's a game film for a football or basketball coach. And they're like, wow, all of a sudden this jumped up. So without getting any information, and those theories to me are a little, they're not true, but I'm not blaming the people for coming up with them because they don't understand. Like, well, how could I explain this? Why would this happen? Why are the firemen going so slow? You thought initially Yoder was kind of like the GOAT in the situation, but he's the only dude I've seen that was going above and beyond trying to get shit done. And initially after the whistleblower letter, I thought something was up, but I agree with you. I cannot tell you if that's arson until I see interior photos. Nobody can tell you that's arson unless they saw those photos or investigated themselves. Dennis Randall said there was multiple accelerants, and through my investigations of Dennis Randall, I can't find one time where that dude ever told the truth about anything. So I hate to jump on board with him, but until I could see the pictures, I can't tell you. So we need more information released. Why is the 911 tape I've heard theories, which I can't say are true, but if they are true, I'll tell you what, I'll be in a car driving through goddamn Indianapolis, and I would make this a federal hate crime if things are alleged that were on that tape. But until it comes out, what are you hiding? Why are you hiding it? It looks bad. It always looks bad. And this isn't a situation where you're holding evidence back, in my opinion, to further the investigation. You're covering up for something. I don't know who or what, but that's what it seems like to me.
Right. Yeah, I can't. And I agree with what Indy Pam's saying right now. They cleaned it up. How can you investigate it? They cleaned it up right
Yeah,
away. There
you
was no
can't.
way to go
They
back.
ruined the scene. Yeah,
and,
they
and that's
contaminated the scene.
and that's why when they change their opinion of whether it's arson or not, how can you do that? You're going off of reports from people that are very unsavory,
Yeah,
and that's to put it mildly. Think they're untouchable, you know. Um, and what's sad too is these people decided that they're just going to retire and they still get their pension and all that when they quite possibly can be involved with a criminal activity in this case.
yeah.
You know,
Well, what you can go back and do, and I don't know if anybody we know that's into like breaking into people's shit electronically is working on this or not, but there got to be messages going back and forth to any co-conspirators. There absolutely has to be. If someone can find them, that might be the proof. And I always say this almost every broadcast I do. If there's any fireman out there that just can't carry this shit no more, because that day he busted his ass and he carried dead children out of a house. Listen, I've done that. I know what that feels like. And in my situation, there was no cover up. We were supported. We had PTSD counselors. Everyone told us what a great job we did, which still didn't matter because I still felt like shit because I had a job to do and I didn't do it. It is what it is. But if anyone out there, any fireman, we could go off. I won't put you on screen. We could go off the record, but you got to unload that shit, man. Like someone out there has to be able to tell us something or has to go public or whatever the case may be. Go to Galen, go to whoever. But that shit's got to be heavy. Those are 4 children. They were murdered. In my opinion, they were murdered. Whether it's arson or whether it's electric, I don't think there was an incendiary fire, meaning the fire shouldn't have started. So whether it was neglect from the landlords that knew electricity had issues or not, or whether someone lit it up or whether someone stuffed paper and electrical out, it doesn't make a difference. Them girls were murdered and it was ruled a murder. So all 4 of them.
there's definitely negligence. There's no question that there was negligence. But I can't understand. The fire wasn't that bad first time Yoda was there.
No.
You know, when him and Dislinger showed up, it wasn't that bad. That smoke, what causes that kind of black, thick smoke, Kev?
Black, thick smoke like that is usually a hydrocarbon, gasoline, some kind of liquid like that. Not always, but that could be that. So basically, if somebody would have threw an accelerant in there, the one thing is this: if it's a liquid accelerant, it's going to light on fire before the accelerant even hits it. You're going to see a giant explosion like you would if you look up a video of someone throwing gasoline on a fire. That's what you're going to see. The doors and windows were left open. You had a back door open and you had a front door open. You had a channel of air. As a rule of thumb, an unchecked fire doubles in size every minute. That's not an exact calculation, but it's a rule of thumb. Unchecked fire means no one's putting water on it. No one's taking any preventative measures to put the fire out. So could it have jumped that much in the time that he went to the station and back, which was probably only about 2 minutes? It could have, but we weren't there. We don't know what happened. We don't have that video. Dissinger's car, which would have video, I'm assuming, is parked across the street, and it looks like it's pointing away from the house. So we might not get the house, but we should get his firefighters arriving, any other people to walk through the area, stuff like that. But I feel that really, if someone doesn't come forward, this case may never get solved because it is so hard to catch an arsonist to begin with. Doug Carter, who I like, even admitted this wasn't the ISP's best days. And immediately after that, he said that. And then the house has been open and they never even, there's a fire model that the Department of Homeland Security runs where they say, we think the fire started here. It's a computer model. It's really accurate. They were getting ready to run it. And then Dennis Randall came out on a Saturday and there's accelerants everywhere. And it was an arson and blah, blah, blah. And that's when the investigators started writing their letters. I've never in my career heard of a private investigator or investigators writing letters to a state or county agency because it was so bad. because the rulings were so bad by that. That's the first time I ever heard of that.
Now, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but to me, it looked like thick black smoke coming out.
Yeah, well, initially, here's the thing. Before I talk about that, let me just tell you the easiest thing to see. As soon as they put water on the fire, it becomes white or gray. So as a general rule for firemen, if I'm outside running a pump, if I see that smoke turn from brown or black to gray or white, I know my guys are putting water on the fire, okay? It's two things you're looking at. Thick black smoke could be a hydrocarbon. So much of this furniture that we use now, it goes up. Did she have wood floors? If she had wood floors, were they treated with something? Now, that wouldn't leave a trail pattern, but that stuff can off-gas and actually burn and catch on fire before the floor. Was there some kind of lacquer or some kind of finish or things like that? The video or the audio interview that I got that someone sent me when the guy was going through the house that lived upstairs, he mentioned gray smoke. Gray smoke is electric burning. I could smell it just by thinking about it. All my experiences with gray smoke, it's gray, it's electric burning. So there's pieces that need put together, but explain what happened. Okay, Mother of Dragons. So the guy on the front porch, we have it time coded. I'm not sure, it was 10:17 in my head. He punches the front window. And if you look at a video or a picture of the house from the front, it ain't your normal front window. It's like a big, I don't know if you would call it a bay window, but it's a really big window. So the opening's probably maybe 3.5 by 3.5 or 4 by 4. Once you open that window up, if you watch that video, you hear it. You can't see him punch it. You hear the glass break. There's a guy on his knees on the porch. He has the hand line. He's getting ready to tell the guy he's ready for water. He punches the window out. Within 2.5 seconds, the stairs begin to light on fire. Okay. That is a direct correlation from that wind pushing that fire there. The back door was left open. You had a channel of air running from the back through the center of the house. So you basically had a perfect arson setup if someone was trying to do that. Open the front, open the back, light fire in the middle, the house is going to burn. If I'm not saying that's what happened. Galen came out the front door. That's maybe why that was left open. But as soon as he breaks that window out, it's over with. You can go. I posted videos on my page, but go to YouTube and look up horizontal ventilation gone wrong. And you'll see these guys punch these windows and this stuff just flashes on them. It's one of the first things that we learn. And if you're not a firefighter, I don't expect you to know that. You know, there's shit that a brain surgeon knows that I'm never going to know. We got here Indy Pan black smoke. Yeah, not always, but like again, it doesn't mean it's necessarily arson, but there's some kind of hydrocarbon being put off or being burnt. So could it have been could they have stored chemicals in the house? Probably not, because you would have seen that flash up real quick and burn off. But it's absolutely possible. But again, what kind of flooring did they have? What did they treat the floor if they had wood floors or stuff? Because so much of the shit that burns, it puts off hydrogen cyanide and so much other stuff. That's why the smoke kills people before the fire does. But again, until seeing those pictures and reading everything that they found, what did they find? What did they think they found? I can't tell you for sure, but I can tell you in general, when you see a color of smoke like that, that's usually some kind of hydrocarbon base, but not always. It could be furniture or something they use to clean with too. So I would lean that way, but without seeing the inside and the pictures, I honestly can't tell you that.
Well, I have some new pictures of the inside.
Oh, do you?
I just haven't. You know me. You know how I am.
That's okay.
Where'd you get those?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care. I don't care where you got them. Yeah.
Oh no! I'll send them to you, but I don't. Okay. I haven't been able to vet them.
Oh.
You know, I asked the person to send, "Where'd you get those?" You know, and really didn't get a good answer.
Paulie, an accelerant was found on Deputy Yoder. As far as I know, it wasn't found on any firemen. Deputy Yoder was the guy that dragged off. What's that?
I'm not talking polygraph is starting that. I've heard it myself.
Oh yeah. I think it
come from.
I think it was a confusion. I don't think it was anyone nefarious, like trying to like start shit. I think they heard there was an accelerant on somebody. Some other people thought firemen were throwing accelerant, and they put the two together. But Yoder had it on him. Now, how do you explain that much accelerant on Yoder that the nurses can smell it? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. It 100% didn't come from cross-contamination on the air packs. That's the biggest load of shit that any fireman has ever said in their life. Okay. So if you're the fire chief and you're going to let a guy wear an air pack in a house that's going to combust when he walks in, you need fired and charged with gross negligence. So his excuse is absolute horseshit. The guys at work couldn't believe that one. That one and moving the bodies. Those were the two that they could not get over. And the people said they were throwing accelerants. Those were the three things watching the video. They threw unanimous. You shouldn't move the bodies. There's nobody throwing. There's no firemen throwing anything in that building at that time. They're actually rescuing people. If you look at it, that's what they're doing. They're actually rescuing people. And the accelerant on the air pack. Those are the three things that every guy at work agreed upon and said that is all horse shit. Something's up. So.
Now, here's the thing, too, and I'm not questioning you either, Indy, or whoever said that a nurse mistook him for a fireman. There you go. And the nurse said that they smelled accelerants. Where do we get that from? I haven't seen anything from any nurses, any hospital staff that have entered any kind of opinion into this. Have any of you guys in writing something that's
not other? The whistleblower letter alludes to it that they took his uniform off. Pretty sure it was in a whistleblower letter. Listen, I don't agree with all the whistleblower letter either, and I'm not sure who wrote it. I theorize a firefighter wrote it because of the way it was written, but I don't even know that for sure. But what's alleged there and what's talked about, and again, it's generally accepted, but it could be not true. But it's a theory that I've been working off of, that they took this off of him. They took his gear off him. Now, they could have cut his gear off him because he was burnt. You know, they're not going to unbutton your pants if you're burnt. They're going to cut it off. But how that accelerant went to him, and again, we don't know that 100% for sure, so I can't say that. But that's a theory, and it branched out to as a fireman. Yoder was a fireman. He wasn't a fireman at Flora, but he was a volunteer fireman, and he did get accelerant on him according to, you know, that letter and other people's reports. However, nothing official. So I could see how the people got jumbled up that the fireman had accelerant. I have seen no reports of any firemen that were fighting the fire that day having accelerant on him.
And he was in his police uniform.
He was in his police uniform, yeah.
And if you look, to tell you, police uniforms are not fire retardant.
Oh no, they're probably the worst thing you can wear.
They'll melt. It'll melt to you.
You got your badge and all your other stuff that's exposed, your plastic stuff. I've seen guys' belts and stuff melt, and their radio cord and stuff melt. So it definitely happens for sure.
Owie, all the way to the hospital.
Yeah, Pam, same thing. YouTube, probably on Reddit too, although the Reddit's wild. The Sopranos Reddit's cool, but there's some wild stuff. Why is everyone focused on firefighting, not the arsonists? Lisa, I think what we were talking about is some other people had videos or had watched videos, and they felt that the firemen were throwing accelerants in during that fire.
A lot of people think that.
Yeah, listen, that's if that's proven true, I swear to you, I'll leave YouTube. I will never come back. And I don't mean any ill will to anyone that said that, but that is just not what happened. I can guarantee you that's not what happened, because I could show you what would happen if someone threw gasoline or if someone threw anything that was a compressed gas and you throw it. You're going to hear that. And just go on YouTube and look up gasoline or diesel thrown into a fire, and it instantly balls up. It plumes up almost like a mushroom cloud, and it goes right to the roof. And
don't try it at home.
No, don't try it. So I'm telling you to watch videos, because we've been on multiple calls since I've been at work. And what happens a lot of times is they pour it with the gas can. It catches the gas can on fire. Then they drop the gas can and it starts to melt. And then eventually, poof, it blows up. So, but Lisa, that's why we were talking about that, because I just, that didn't happen. I mean, I can't tell you anything else for sure really about that fire, but I can tell you that there was no fireman throwing any accelerants in there. It just isn't true.
You don't know for sure that there's an arsonist yet.
Yeah.
Now here's another thing that troubles me about the way Indiana does shit. That whistleblower letter. Okay. Somebody had to vet that information too. You just don't take that as gold. So why not say, okay, yeah, we get this whistleblower. Here's what he put out. We checked this. That's true. That's not true. You know, we went to the hospital, talked to the nurses. Nobody said anything, so scratch that. Why not do that? Why not, at least vet the information that they're putting out there?
Maybe it's wrong and it's all true. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, and all of it's true. I don't believe all of it. That, to me, that letter was slanted against Yoder and Dissinger. And I can only tell you what I saw on that dash cam video, and why Yoder isn't talking now. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's a good chance that he's not allowed to talk about it. There's a chance that he wants to say, let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you why I did it. And there's a couple other things that people don't understand about the politics of firefighting. I'm going to tell you right now. Yoder called for a second department to come in because Flora was whiffing. We call it whiffing when you don't answer a call right away. You're whiffing. They got to send someone else. Here in Pennsylvania, if you don't answer a call within a certain amount of time, the county dispatch automatically sends the next couple units that are close to you in volunteer departments. No one's there. They don't answer. It happens. They drop calls or they whiff. He called for a second department when he got there before he went to the fire station. I guarantee you that those Florida firemen were pissed to high hell about that because it's like a pissing ground thing. And it's not right, but it's how it is. A lot of times in a volunteer fire service, it's not about the best product for your community. It's about bringing your drinking buddy in. Hey, they're come to my fires. I come to their fires. Do this, do that. Recently, we just had a fire. It was last Father's Day. A community was right next to Pittsburgh. And this hillbilly chief got on the air with his fake Sam Elliott mustache. And he even had his dress sweatpants on. He was look nice. And they said, well, why won't you call Pittsburgh Fire Department? They're 5 minutes away. This guy died on Father's Day. And he said, well, Pittsburgh, don't call us. And that the guy's still the fire chief. He said it on the news. I'll send it to you. I sent a message to his borough, and I said, do you guys have a solicitor there? You going to leave Billy Joe Jim Bob be the chief? He said that on the air. I sent all the information to the guy's family who died for their lawsuit, too. So it's insane.
Bullshit.
It's crazy. I'm not saying they tried to kill Yoder, but to make it look like it was his fault, I'm telling you, there's some heat there between those departments. He went in and grabbed a mask from the station. Then he grabbed a pack, and, I don't know. But those guys weren't in there at that time, and I don't see anything wrong with what Yoder did as far as morals go. It's probably against what he's supposed to do for his job. There's probably procedures you probably would notice, Ruck, where, hey, you guys can't be running in a house fire because we don't want you to die. And he probably violated some stuff there, but I think he did it for a good reason from everything I could see. And there's another guy. I mean, if you ever want to talk, I'd love to talk to him off the air. I wasn't a law enforcement. You'd be a good guy to talk to him, but I just don't know, Yeah.
Fort Pitbull's asking who's held accountable for not following procedure. That's iffy, brother.
You mean for like the police?
No, he put.
I think Ruckus we just lost Ruckus there. He was freezing up for a second. I hope it isn't my Wi-Fi. Hopefully he'll come back. He'll come back up. I'm sure he'll come back up or me. We'll keep going on. I'm sure he'll pop back in. Yeah, the fire department procedure. Well, it's hard for us to even say that until we have the radio communications from fireman to fireman. And we'll hear what orders are being given and whether they followed their own procedure or not. You can't really be held criminally negligent for that. I don't know about Indiana. In Pennsylvania, you can be. It's called gross negligence, where you kill firemen by doing really stupid shit. But civilly, that would certainly help. Oh, there's Ruckus. He's back. There you are.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We were back here. I answered a little bit for pit bulls, but you could probably do a little better. I handled maybe the fire end of it. But what do you think about his question about procedure?
Well, I'm sure that this works the same with firefighters. Okay. In the sheriff's office, the sheriff has vicarious liability. So he takes the heat for everything. But that's why we have in-service training and all these training sessions. They don't care if we learn anything. They want our signature so that when we fuck up and somebody tries to sue, the sheriff can say, oh, no, we trained him, sue him. So there's no telling who's, to me, it would be the ranking person on scene would be who's going to take the hit.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they
We
work.
have it. In PA, we have what's called gross negligence, but usually that's when firefighters get killed for their bosses telling them to do dumb shit. But there is that case in Michigan where two firemen are being sued for $50 million. They got fired from their department, and the floor dashboard tape came out the same day that lawsuit was announced. Was that a coincidence? I don't know. But you guys can look that up. Michigan firefighters getting sued. I'm not sure what the city was. Justice Angel, I agree with you 100%.
I do too. I do too.
Miss Stang, hello everyone.
But hey, Miss Thing, I got to see her husband's band play last night. She did a little live thing on her Facebook. Pretty good guitar
Oh,
player.
cool.
Yeah.
There
They
you
played
go.
70s, mostly 70s stuff. They sounded pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
My deputy chief plays guitar. He sings too. They just performed a couple weeks ago. A lot of Skinner and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Some
very
of that
good.
shit's hard to pull off, believe it or not. Sounds easy,
Oh,
but it's not.
well, believe me, I couldn't. I enjoy music, but I don't sing, dance, or well, you saw at the beginning of the video to me dancing to that. I fought the law. No one wants to see that again. Thank you for Pit Bulls. It's I tell you what, fire department when I got hired, it's organized chaos. It's like a symphony where and this is what deputy chief told me. His name was Joe Matta. He's old. He's retired now. He's still alive, Joe. He's like, yeah, goddamn motherfucking goddamn fucker. You know, he'd be one of those guys. But he would always say to me, we just perform their duty. He said it's organized chaos. It's like an orchestra, but everybody in the orchestra is drinking and on drugs. So everyone's playing, but it's like it isn't going. But at the end of the day, it works somehow. The fire goes out. And something else, another deputy taught me is, kid, I've never been to a fire that hasn't gone out. So look at it that way, right? No matter how long they are, they eventually run out of shit to burn.
Yeah, they go out eventually.
Yeah, Lisa, I could see I saw where the smoke detectors were laid out in the house, and I would not have put them in either of those places. The one upstairs, yeah, but I would have added another one up there. And you got to understand that apartment was split. That house was split, so that used to be a common hallway. So there's all kind of issue. Report nail polish remover initially. Yeah, I didn't see that. That's an acetate. So if they say acetate, that's a nail polish remover. Nail polish remover could just be something in a house that catches on fire. We see that sometimes where people have paint stored, and it's not necessarily an arson, but Miss Stang's thanking you for liking her husband's band.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me to watch that live. That was awesome.
Would a person file a civil lawsuit? I think you would have to be involved in a case to file a civil lawsuit. I'm no lawyer. Right?
It's just nothing to file against right now. It's so shady and so cloudy, and nothing's black and white in there.
You know what you almost need is a situation like that, like when the Dixie Chicks were talking shit on the guy from the West Memphis 3 case that they thought did it. Well, they got him to sue them, and that's what they wanted him to do. And under deposition, they started asking him all kind of shit. He even got pissed. He's like, "Why are you asking me that?" They're like, "Well, suing. We're here because of you. You got to answer these questions." So
that's right.
I'm not in a financial position to do that right now, to have anyone sue me to try to get information. Maybe if we have a rich beneficiary or something here, so you can talk shit on people and make them sue them. But
I talk shit, but I'm not rich.
No, yeah. You're exactly right. And a lot of times that's, this is, I would say, be a man. It could be a woman, anybody. You make mistakes, be a man. Hey man, I fucked that up. I have to live with that. I made that mistake. So,
but that area, they don't seem real big on accountability.
No, it doesn't. And we talked before. It's like everyone's, oh, he's the fire chief and the tax collector, and he delivers the newspaper. It's like one guy's the same thing. Sure. So to keep the same names keep coming up. Now it's a small county, but I never lived in a small county. Is that the way it always is, or do the same people just have all the same jobs everywhere?
Well, I've talked to, and a couple locals have reached out to me, and to be honest with you, I am pro law enforcement. Everybody knows that. And I'm pro firefighter for that matter, but I don't know, dude. It's hard to defend some of their actions.
Yeah,
and I'm getting nothing but negative response about ISP and the fire marshals and Homeland Security Office and all that. If there's smoke, there's fire. No pun intended. If this many people A thousand Chinamen can't be wrong. If this many
Yeah,
people say
yeah,
that that's
yeah.
happening, you know, and I've seen small town area. Before Pitbull's, he said his wife used to live in Newport Richie, and he's been to Hudson and stuff like that. I lived up in a little town called Brantford, Florida, that was like that, where they would have town meetings where they agree to start following the rules. I would go to these meetings and say, "What the fuck?" I raised my hand one time.
The
So
only rule is
yeah,
the only rule is there are no rules.
yeah. So this meeting is to say that we're now going to follow the rules, so nobody else can get mad. Is that what it is? Yeah, okay. But that's the way they do shit in these little towns. So I can understand.
Yeah.
And dude, I was brand new from Boston. I was a Yankee boy. It took forever for me to understand what my neighbors were saying. I couldn't understand them. And B, get their trust. They didn't know what I was talking about. Here's a quick
Yeah.
funny story. When I first got there, my father-in-law wanted to buy a horse. Right now, I'm from downtown Boston, brother. We go to this horse farm, and I tell this guy, I said, my father-in-law wants a horse. He's like, what? I said, my father-in-law wants a horse. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, dude, a horse. Just a regular horse, a quarter horse. Just a regular quarter horse. That's all. Look. What? This guy could not understand what I was saying. And somebody came over and said something to him. He goes, oh, you mean a quarter horse? Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
A quarter horse. And dude, it was hilarious. This went back and forth for a good 30 seconds, which is a long time for trying to communicate
Cool.
something simple like that. Yeah. But now I realize how stupid I sounded. I call home. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I can't understand.
I say yins all the time. That's a Pittsburgh thing, and that's me. So that's how I talk and comment. YINZ, yins. And we're not from Pittsburgh. We're from Picksburg. PICKSBURG. That's how everyone says it here. Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Stillers. STILLERS. So if you ever come here, you say yins. We eat chipped ham. What else do we have? We have tea in cartons, which is actually awesome. We call this McKee Sport Champagne. It's high in sugar, it's cheap, so everyone's all jacked up on it. Everyone runs around all jacked up on it. So,
yeah, Jinx, I bet you they did think I was wilder than hair on a biscuit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not the brightest person to start with. I never claimed to be, so I didn't immediately pick up on this guy not understanding what I was. I thought he was hard of hearing, to be honest with you. So I just started saying those fucked up words, pronunciations louder.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't understand me. Let me yell it louder.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like when you're talking to someone that's really hard of hearing, you think if you talk louder and slower that they'll be able to. No, their hearing's still the same. You just look stupid,
Yeah. Well, hey, brother, we're at 1:17. I got my battery alarm alight. I wanted to keep it an hour, but I really had a good time. I definitely would like to do this again on my page or your page. And people, thank everyone for coming. First of all, before we get out of here, I want to thank everybody for coming. And if you have you watch this later and you want to put a question in or something or a comment, I know that Ruck goes back and looks at stuff. So do I. So feel free. If there's a rare instance where you follow me and not him, go ahead and follow and subscribe to Ruck. He has a lot of good stuff and always has good interviews and stuff on. Anything else you want to leave us with before you go?
No, thanks for having me. It's good to see all you guys. A lot of common people that I know, familiar faces, but there's also some new ones. So nice to meet you guys. I'm glad you finally got to see my ugly mug.
Pam says thanks. Yeah, I agree. Very good show. Good time with Ruck, and like me, just wants to figure out what happened to some of these cases and not really popularity contest and cut through the shit. And that's why I think we get along pretty well. We don't agree on everything, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. We're adults, and I love when you say, "Hey, man, you want to come up on? Come up on. I'll give you the number." And they're like, "No, I don't want to come up on." Well, I have all this information. Well, come up on. No. I like that. I don't think you do that to be a dick. Like, man, if you
No,
got
I
something,
don't.
tell me. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like I'd deal with a terrible person if they had information that could help me with a case or something that I'm looking at or something that I could send to the police. You know, hey, look, man, so and so sent this to me. I know he's a horrible person. However, he knows. So,
I like the
uh,
comments and stuff like that, like you were just talking about afterwards. I read them all, and
yeah,
I comment
yeah.
back to them. They're
I
they
have it
really
set.
matter to
Or
me.
yeah, I have it set where anytime anyone comments, I get a notification on my phone. So I'm trying to get on it pretty quick. So,
Hmm.
well, hey, thank you very much. What is the temperature? Can you hear me? Oh, no. We lost again. I hope this isn't my Wi-Fi. I don't know. Well, anyways, if he comes back up real quick, we'll say goodbye. If not, I'd say goodbye. Great show. Love Ruckus's input. Love everything that he has to say and brings to the table. Me and him don't agree on every single topic, but we're adults and we're fine with it. He's a straight shooter, no BS. I appreciate that about him too. And we definitely need to do this again. We just skirted Flora a little bit. I wanted to do, we're going to talk and get to know him a little bit. I like the background stuff. I thought that was cool hearing him. Oh, he just texted me. He froze right at the end. He said goodbye. Goodbye to everybody. So hopefully, again, we'll be at it soon. I will make sure all comments. Oh, that's okay. You can comment at 3 a.m. Have a couple in you. Nothing wrong with that. A couple drinks maybe. Yeah, we lost Rock. Yeah, he'll be back. Me and him will do something together. Follow if you guys probably already follow his channel. Keep checking him out. He gets some wild interviews. I don't know how he does it, but Alex and Noe, he had Keegan Klein's cellmate. Go back and look at that. Excuse me, Detective Coy Cox, the Stevenson, Delphi. We didn't even skirt that yet. So we shot the shit for an hour 15, but I definitely would like to do something with him again. I'd be happy. We talked early. If Rick Snay wants me to come on, I'd love to come on with him. Talk Flora a little bit or whoever, anybody. Send their thing to me. Like I said, I try to talk to anybody. And if you have information or you can help move this along and get justice for those 4 girls in Galen, I'm with you. Okay. So I'm going to go back and watch basketball. But before I do, if you watch my show a lot, I will say tentacles. Every time we say tentacles, you have to drink. Tentacles. Right? Delphi. Tentacles. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming in and spending an afternoon with me and Rock. Like and subscribe to him if you haven't already. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't for me, whatever you like to do. I post a lot of stuff on the community page too. Any other questions or comments, put them in our comments here. We'll both get back to you. And I hope everyone has a good Saturday. I'm back at work tomorrow, so cross your fingers. All hell doesn't break loose on Sunday. But until next time, everybody, I'd like to say thank you.